A British prince didn't just clash with a judge once or twice, he did it 3 times in a single day. And while all this chaos was unfolding, his legal team was reportedly backing off fast, and his wife was over 5,000 miles away, casually posting on Instagram like everything was perfectly fine. This wasn't just awkward, it was straight up wild. This is the real story of how Prince Harry's court case spiraled into a full-on disaster in real time. And trust me, it went way deeper than anyone expected. Here's exactly how it all went down.
Prince Harry nearly broke down in tears in court today, weeping about Meghan Markle's misery. And he was told to stop arguing back by the judge.
On January 22, 2026, Prince Harry walked into London's High Court thinking this would be his big justice moment. This was supposed to be serious, powerful, and tightly controlled. Instead, it turned chaotic almost immediately.
That they have made his wife's life an absolute misery.
Showing off their home, their pool, their lifestyle.
He's suing Associated Newspapers Limited, the company behind the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday, accusing them of phone hacking and illegal information gathering. The claims stretch from 2001 all the way to 2013, and the money involved is no joke. We're talking about a $38 million legal battle. Harry isn't standing alone either. He's leading a group of 7 high-profile figures, including Elton John and Elizabeth Hurley. This case was meant to be his final showdown with British tabloids, his moment to expose them, his chance at public vindication.
Devastating moment for Prince Harry's reputation and credibility, as he argues with a judge while in the dock, contradicts himself, appears to fib about using the pseudonym Mr. Mischief.
But the second Harry took the witness stand, everything started falling apart. Let's break this down step by step because this got messy in a way nobody saw coming. Picture it. Harry seated in the witness box. The Daily Mail's lawyer, Anthony White, begins questioning him. Within minutes, Harry isn't just answering, he's pushing back. He's debating, challenging, getting visibly heated. The tension in that courtroom shot through the roof. The judge had to step in, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. And this wasn't just any judge. This was Justice Matthew Nicklin, a seasoned media law expert who's seen it all. Even he had to pause proceedings because Harry wouldn't stop arguing. The first interruption was almost calm. The judge tried to cool things down and said, and this is a direct quote, "You're doing exactly what lots of litigants do. You tend to argue back about what he's putting to you. You don't have to bear the burden of arguing the case today. That's for Mr. Sherborne."
Arrogant and pig-headed Harry started arguing with the judge. This was just part of their exchange.
That message couldn't have been clearer. Answer the questions. Let your legal team handle the fight. That's literally what lawyers are paid to do. But Harry didn't stop. The second time the judge stepped in, the patience in the room was clearly running thin. You could feel the frustration building. Harry kept debating instead of answering. By the third interruption, things got firm fast. Harry began arguing over what even counts as a journalistic source.
Prince Harry broke down in big boy tears as he gave some testimony today in his lawsuit against the Daily Mail, claiming
That's when the judge shut it down completely. He basically said, "Listen, I am a media lawyer. This is my job. I know exactly what I'm talking about."
everything going on with Harry today. I feel like it's a need to talk about his big boy man tears. He's so emotional, guys. His poor wife. She lives in misery in her $16 million mansion with her 4.4 million followers on Instagram, her Netflix deal, her show on Netflix, all these sorts of things. And she's so miserable.
Let that sink in for a second. A prince arguing with a high court judge about media law inside the judge's own courtroom. That's not confidence. That's risky. And here's why this matters so much. This wasn't a jury trial. There was no crowd to impress, no emotions to play to, no public applause to win. There was only one person deciding the outcome, the same judge Harry argued with 3 times in one morning. That judge alone decides whether Harry wins or loses, full stop. And yet, Harry couldn't hold it together for even a single session. One legal analyst sitting in the courtroom later said Harry looked rattled, uneasy, and like he never fully settled into the witness box. The Daily Mail's legal team pulled a slick move the day before court, and it completely threw Harry off balance. They slashed their opening arguments from a day and a half down to just 90 minutes, which pushed Harry's testimony forward by an entire day. And right away, the lack of preparation showed. This is where things got emotional and honestly confusing. During his testimony, Harry's voice cracked, he looked close to tears, and he told the courtroom directly, "They have made my wife's life an absolute misery. I think it is fundamentally wrong to have to put all of us through this again when all we were asking for is an apology and some accountability." At first, that sounds emotional and sympathetic, right? But then one key detail flips the whole moment upside down. This case is about alleged phone hacking and illegal information gathering that supposedly happened between 2001 and 2013, and that timeline matters a lot. Harry didn't even meet Meghan until 2016, meaning she had absolutely nothing to do with the 14 articles he's complaining about. Not involved, not mentioned, not even part of his life back then. So why was she suddenly front and center in his testimony? Why bring her into a case where she has zero legal connection? That's where things started looking strange, and it got even messier. While Harry stood alone in a London courtroom, no visible support beside him, no familiar faces in the gallery, Meghan was back in Montecito, California. Reports said she was posting on Instagram that same week, showing their home, their pool, and their lifestyle like it was business as usual. The comment sections blew up instantly. One person wrote, "Why is he even mentioning her? She has nothing to do with the case or the years these claims are about."
I think Harry reveals more than he thinks he did, because he's, of course, trying to pull out the heartstrings about his wife, who, honestly, I feel like the judge should have told him straight to his face, your wife's feelings have no bearing on this trial whatsoever, Harry. This is about Chelsea, Cressida, your former girlfriend, you know? But he has to bring up his wife. I'm sure that's what his lawyer was doing, but I honestly have absolutely zero sympathy for him and his wife in this instance. If they had been quiet and dignified, would I have some more sympathy?
Another added, Meghan is 5,000 miles away posting on social media while Harry falls apart in court. And the optics? Absolutely brutal. This couple built their entire image around being united against the world, a real ride-or-die partnership. But when Harry stepped into what he called the most important legal battle of his life, he was standing there alone, and people noticed.
Prince Harry, you're crying on the stand. In life, we don't always get what we want, right? We want friends, okay? We've all been in that situation. We want a friend, a loved one, a relative to take accountability, to apologize. It doesn't happen, okay? You're expecting a big newspaper conglomerate to come crawling to you to apologize. It's not gonna happen. You can either move on with your life.
Hard. And just when it seemed like it couldn't look any messier, things went from bad to unbelievable. Harry stood in court and complained about the media commercializing his private life, saying directly, "I've never believed my life is open season to be commercialized by these people." That statement stopped people cold, because this is the same man who released a 400-page memoir, Spare, where he shared deeply personal family moments, private conversations, and even text messages between his wife and Catherine about bridesmaids' dresses. He openly talked about losing his virginity, past drug use, and his military service, turning his own life into a global product. He followed that up with a multi-million-dollar Netflix documentary, letting cameras trail him and Meghan through their private struggles. Then came the massive Oprah interview watched by tens of millions, where deeply personal family issues were laid out for the world. So now, seeing him argue in court that the media has no right to commercialize his life hit the public like a brick. The contradiction was impossible to ignore, and it raised questions
Prince Harry, right before we got on here, we also found out he's on the stand today in London.
Clearly wasn't ready to answer. One comment that pulled in over 1,200 likes summed it up perfectly. If Harry wanted privacy, he wouldn't have released Spare. Another person jumped in saying, "You can't sell your story to the media and then complain about media intrusion. That is sheer hypocrisy." And that take spread fast. The judge could see it, the lawyers could see it, and everyone watching from the outside could see it too. The problem was simple but explosive. Harry wanted it both ways. He wanted to make millions telling his own story, but he didn't want anyone else allowed to talk about it, frame it, or
Court. I feel like every time we come on here, Prince Harry's in court. He doesn't look great in the court sketch, I'm going to be honest.
question it. That contradiction hung over the courtroom like a dark cloud, and the mood got
I think part of him is happy to be there because he misses the British culture and he hates being at the house with Meghan. I think Prince Harry would rather travel to London to sit in a courthouse than be stuck in the asylum with her and Montecito. Okay, I just think that's the truth. And then some other bad news in Harry and Meghan world, their show has been canceled. Season 3 of With Love, Meghan has been canceled by Netflix. They won't be doing anymore, which I'm not shocked because nobody was watching it, okay? That show is like number 5,206 on the Netflix charts. So Harry and Meghan, I think they're done. Okay, Harry and Meghan, if I were you guys, your show's been canceled. You're not going to be the next Martha Stewart, Meghan. I mean, the fact that Meghan Markle had a cooking show and she moved pretzels from one bag.
comfortable real quick. Then things took an even more awkward turn when Chelsea Davy came up, Harry's former girlfriend, the one he dated for years before they split in 2010. Chelsea moved on a long time ago.
Your show's been canceled. You're not going to be the next Martha Stewart, Meghan. I mean, the fact that Meghan Markle had a cooking show and she moved pretzels from one bag into another was crazy.
She's married, has children, and runs a successful jewelry business, all while staying far away from royal drama.
Harry's evidence came forward a day. So Harry originally wasn't meant to be giving evidence until tomorrow. Now, I think it scrambled him a bit. He seemed uneasy from the moment he arrived. He didn't really settle properly in the witness box, and he came in, and Anthony White very cleverly immediately got him onto this thing of being part of the institution.
She's lived quietly and with dignity until her name was suddenly dragged back into court. Several of the articles Harry is complaining about involved Chelsea, and he spoke about how the press made her life difficult. He even revealed that he called her the night.
This is my job. I understand that this is a big moment for you, but you're making a mistake that a lot of people make. Let me just tell you, your job now is just to answer these questions. Let your legal team.
Before his testimony to talk about what really happened back then. Think about that for a second. Imagine how Chelsea feels and how her husband feels being pulled back into a circus they already escaped.
And right from the off, Harry was on the defensive and very bristly and very abrasive. And the judge intervened 3 times to try and calm him down. I mean, the first time, which was the one that you showed there, he was actually quite sympathetic and he was quite like, look.
Years ago, one comment even said Chelsea should issue a cease and desist to stop Harry from using her name to prop up what they called his ridiculous court case. And that comment didn't come out of nowhere. What made it even more uncomfortable was Harry's tone when talking about Chelsea in court. The emotion, the regret, that heavy what could have been energy was impossible to miss. All of this while his current wife was back in California posting on Instagram. People clocked that contrast instantly, and it didn't help his image at all. Then the Daily Mail's lawyers dropped another twist. They claimed Harry used the Mischief Facebook account.
Answer the case. And Harry seemed to kind of go, okay, my lord, yeah, whatever. Then he carried on, then he did it again, and then he did it a 3rd time, and it was really bad the 3rd time. So
they claimed Harry used this alias to contact journalists on social media, including Charlotte Griffiths from the Mail on Sunday. Harry denied it outright, but the lawyers suggested they had receipts to back it up, and just like that, the tension in the room shot up again. One of the journalists Harry accused, Katie Nichol, pushed back through the legal team and said, "No, Harry, you invited me to party with you at Kensington Roof Gardens in 2011, basically saying they weren't enemies at all. According to her side, they moved in the same social circles, were friendly, and on good terms at the time. That detail hit hard because it cracks his entire narrative wide open. It suggests Harry wasn't just an innocent target chased by hostile reporters, but someone who played the media game when it worked in his favor, and now is trying to rewrite history when it doesn't."
Well, as we all know, Prince Harry is in the UK. He is testifying around this case that he has against the Associated News.
And now we get to the most serious part of this whole mess. There are growing reports that key members of Harry's legal team have either resigned or are seriously considering walking away from the case. That's not normal, and it's not small. When solicitors step back in the middle of a trial, that's a massive red flag waving in plain sight. One legal analyst broke it down clearly, saying when lawyers walk away like that, it's usually because they believe their client's instructions are no longer sustainable or the evidence has completely fallen apart. They're not abandoning the law, they're abandoning Harry's version of events. And suddenly, the Daily Mail strategy makes a lot more sense. They came prepared with emails, phone records, and documentation pointing to legitimate journalistic sources.
When you look at him bringing up Meghan in this moment about what happened in the past, for me, it looks like he is trying to do what happened in the past because of what happened to Meghan in the present. But if it is about what happened to Meghan in the present, then why not bring a lawsuit about what happened to Meghan in the present? You know why he won't do that? Because, first of all, there's not other people that he can come in with this same lawsuit to strengthen his case like he has with the other people that are in on this court case, all these other people. It's just him and his life with this woman. But also, Meghan's life that she lived in the UK,
that level of preparation is now putting Harry's entire case under serious pressure. This is where the case starts looking less like a fight for justice and more like a slow collapse happening in real time. Once the cracks started showing, everything followed. Court insiders began whispering that Harry's testimony wasn't landing the way he thought it would. Instead of sounding calm and credible, he came off scattered, emotional, and stuck in his own head. And that's a problem when facts matter more than feelings. Multiple legal watchers pointed out that Harry leaned heavily on assumptions instead of hard proof. Over and over again, his answers were built around phrases like believing something happened or feeling certain the press was behind it. But belief isn't evidence, and in a courtroom, especially one dealing with media law, that distinction matters a lot. The defense spotted that weakness immediately and didn't waste a second pressing on it. At several key moments, Harry openly admitted he couldn't actually prove who leaked what or how certain stories were sourced. He suggested the information must have come from illegal activity, but when pressed for real details, things got vague fast. The defense didn't even need to raise their voices. They stayed calm and let the gaps speak for themselves. And in a courtroom, silence can hit harder than shouting. Observers also picked up on something else. Harry kept circling back to his deep distrust of the media instead of sticking to the specific articles under review. That emotional approach might work in interviews, but in court, it weakens your case. This trial wasn't about feelings, reputation, or long-held resentment. It was about proof, timelines, and sources, and Harry struggled to stay locked into that lane. Then came the moment that really shifted the energy in the room. The defense pointed out that many of the articles Harry complained about could be traced back to public appearances, official statements, or well-known social connections. That undercut the hacking claims in a big way. If information is already public, it doesn't need to be stolen.
It is all caught up on an emotional high, emotional roller coaster of, having to work with the press, having to then be, part of the press's news gathering, story making arm. And there's no real balance between the two. But at the same time, that's just the life you get. It's a quid pro quo. You get this luxurious life. You're born into privilege. Things you never had to work for, but the compromise to all of that is that now you have to put up with things in the press that probably do make your life miserable.
And several legal experts said this was the moment the judge visibly leaned in, not emotionally, but analytically. This wasn't about sympathy anymore. It was about whether the claims could survive serious scrutiny. That's when the imbalance became obvious. The defense stayed calm, structured, and document-heavy. Meanwhile, Harry's side leaned hard on narrative and memory, facts versus feelings, and that contrast didn't help him. People following the case also noticed how often Harry framed himself as powerless, but the court kept circling back to one unavoidable reality. He's one of the most recognizable people on the planet. Access, privilege, and influence hovered over the courtroom discussion, even when they weren't said out loud. And the idea that he had no control over his public image didn't fully add up. Online reactions exploded as these details started spreading. Commentators began saying this wasn't a case built on solid ground, but one driven by emotion and long-standing frustration. Some even questioned whether the lawsuit—
So this is mostly over his time with Chelsea Davy, not Meghan Markle. Chelsea Davy, the woman who I think honestly probably truly loved Harry for Harry,
was ever about winning or about making a statement no matter the outcome. By the end of the day, the mood around the courtroom had clearly shifted. What started as a high-profile challenge to the tabloids now looked like a risky gamble spinning out fast. The confidence Harry walked in with didn't match the uncertainty he carried out. And the most damaging part? None of this was hidden.
And I don't think she was all that interested in royalty, the royal trappings, in the money or the fame, anything like that. She is not interested in that. She's proven that over her years since. Meghan Markle, meanwhile, was absolutely attracted not to him, but to what he could give her. So let's keep going.
Every stumble, every unclear answer, every correction from the judge was documented, analyzed, and shared in real time. In a case centered on media power, Harry was losing control of the narrative again, right in front of everyone. The defense finally laid everything out, and it landed hard. They showed that many of the 14 articles Harry is complaining about were built on information from people who willingly spoke to the press. That detail changes everything. Some of those sources weren't shadowy figures hiding in the dark. They were reportedly people from Harry's own social circle, friends, contacts, familiar names. That alone punches a huge hole in the hacking narrative. And it didn't stop there.
Prince Harry was giving evidence in his privacy claim against the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday in the High Court today.
Journalists Rebecca English and Katie Nichol are both set to testify. These aren't random bloggers or rumor pages. These are established professionals with long careers, and they're stepping forward to defend their reputations publicly. They're not backing down, and that pushes the stakes even higher. Now let's talk about the money, because this part gets ugly fast. If Harry loses this case, he doesn't just walk away embarrassed. He could be on the hook for the Daily Mail's legal costs, and that could mean tens of millions of pounds. That kind of hit would hurt anyone. On top of that, reports say Harry still owes money from previous legal battles. Some sources even claim he's already sitting around $38 million in debt. This lawsuit was supposed to be his big moment, his payoff, his redemption arc, maybe even a settlement to clean up his finances. Instead, it's turning into a very public unraveling that could seriously wreck him financially. Now zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Harry is stuck between two worlds, and neither one is holding him up anymore. There's the royal world he was born into, the one that protected him, smoothed over mistakes, and handed him endless advantages. He didn't just leave that world, he burned those bridges publicly. He wrote a book tearing into that life, and there's no going back. But the new world he tried to build in California isn't holding together either. The Netflix deal is gone, the Spotify partnership collapsed, the projects meant to rebrand him and Meghan didn't land the way they hoped. Even their charity efforts struggled to gain traction. Their brand took hit after hit. This lawsuit was supposed to fix everything. Instead, Harry argued with the judge 3 times in one day. His legal team is reportedly stepping back. The evidence isn't lining up with his claims, and his credibility took damage when contradictions from his own book came back into focus. And the person he says this fight is all about, she isn't even in the courtroom. public opinion didn't stay quiet either. The comment sections lit up instantly. One person wrote, "He's his own worst enemy." Another said, "Court is for facts, not feelings." And one comment that kept getting shared said, "Maybe if he doesn't like the press, he and his wife should stop phoning them." And here's the brutal truth people keep circling back to. Harry wanted to be seen as a warrior for justice, standing up to corrupt media power. Instead, many now see someone acting entitled, deflecting blame, and struggling to handle criticism while trying to control who gets to tell his story. He wants to profit from his life, but stop others from writing about it. And that contradiction isn't landing well. The judge seems to see through it, the lawyers clearly see through it, and the public definitely sees through it. The only person who doesn't seem to see it is Harry himself, and that might be the most uncomfortable part of this entire saga.